Here.
All right, so our guest today should be hosting
700 milliseconds.
Should be hosting our show with that great internet connection. So, welcome everyone to another episode of the SE Journey. My name's Chris Sprague, joined as always with my co-host Zane Allen. How you doing, Zane?
Great, Chris, and this is exciting to be back on this. It might have been, I don't know how long it's been, so I'm glad we're here and joined by our good friend. Can we say friend, Bronson? We have known you a long time, but we've known you long enough. So joined here by our friend and ex-colleague, or I guess colleague still, but from another company when we all used to work at Veeam together, Bronson Aber. So
did you get sidetracked there, Zane?
No, I was pausing.
So how you doing, Bronson?
Yeah, how you doing, Bronson? Yeah. I know. And I ordered this for you. Just heard you just got back from the greatest city on earth there. But this is the SE Journey, and as we do, we like to invite guests on here. Sometimes it's Chris and I, but we like to invite guests on here and just talk about what you've done, where you've been, and kind of how we got to this SE gig. That Chris and I are of the belief that there really is no one path to this. We don't think, though. That's what we're kind of setting out to try to figure out. Maybe there is a lot of commonalities, similarities between our journeys, but really there's no college degree. I don't think anybody wanted to be, as a kid, I want to be a fireman or an SE. You just kind of find your path here. So that's just what we try to explore in the show. But before that, maybe we want to do what we normally do and talk about a little tech, maybe what you have over there. We came into the show, you were telling us your upload speed, so I guess we can kind of start with that sort of setup. But Chris and I, we shared that on previous episode, definitely on our first one, kind of how our setup is here. I think things might have been actually changed since our last episode, for me at least. So what are you running over there, Bronson, for your
well, other than fiber for internet.
That's all you need, right?
I just got my laptop. I need nothing else. I got a couple monitors, right? Like that's it. No real fancy
Okay.
Cam, but,
No.
Laptop and whatnot, but
That's still.
they don't all work when I have the laptop.
So unlike a lot of us, you didn't get sucked into this. I need to build a home studio while I'm stuck during COVID.
That's good on you, really. Yeah,
you saved lots and lots of money. Oh, you built a lab. There you go. All right, let's.
Yeah. I just got like 3 pizza boxes downstairs that are they're all Dell servers. The actual model. They're all.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Everything. I turned one into a vSphere. Two actually into a vSphere cluster, and then I have another hybrid host downstairs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So they're a little better than my little tiny Nook boxes right there.
It's like holding it up there.
you got real boxes, so that's cool.
Yeah, mine. That's what I got running too. Three Nooks in the other room.
So you didn't totally save yourself from spending money during COVID.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I was before. I was downstairs in our little office on the main floor or whatever. The servers, and they're really loud, and I talk all the time on the phone. So my wife, I wouldn't say asked me to leave. She kind of told me, "You're moving upstairs. You don't have a choice."
Hey, you want to spend Saturday moving your office? Because it's not really a question. That happened to me as well. I was in another room, and COVID happened. Kids were homeschooled or staying home, and son kind of moved in there. He was quiet most of the day. And Chris could probably attest to this. We'd hang out at the end of the day. Video games would happen after school. They'd get louder. Then my daughter moved in there. I just got up one morning on Saturday and just started moving. I was like, well, I guess this is no longer my office. Thanks, guys.
I do remember that, actually. The video games in the background.
Oh, yeah. You would probably remember that, too. Yeah. Just all of a sudden, it would just get so loud in there. And then they would say I was loud. We would just kind of match each other. So, yeah, I get it.
Just get over the top of each other. That's one of the reasons for the Nooks, right? The noise and the power. Otherwise, to your point, Bronson, there's nowhere in my house I could probably get away with it. So I'd have, a rack in the garage and all that. And I just didn't. I was trying to move away from that kind of a little bit. But
Yeah.
there's still something. I mean, those NUCs are great for, home lab. If anybody out there is trying to make a home lab, they work great. But there's something to be said for a real server and real power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't save you money, so don't think that's what's going to happen. They're just a smaller package. But yeah, I'm running my data center on 3 laptops essentially. But you just buy another one if it runs out.
That's right.
Need more memory.
Do you guys actually have like a how you built the NUC lab? Do you guys actually have that documented?
I think mine's on my blog. Do I have that? Oh, I don't have the actual lab.
I need to. I actually, that's something that's been in my list. And I've actually laid out the pieces to kind of do that, but I haven't done that yet. It would be a great blog entry, right? To go over that and show the updates.
Pretty standard. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got, the two drives in. Well, one of them only has 1 drive. I actually broke the cable, but that's fine. I put that in my new computer. That drive that I had, but NVMe and
watch
flash
out.
drives.
Watch out for those ribbon cables. They're delicate.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. And I was like, oh, wow, can I get this replaced? And it just seemed like a problem. But anyway, I bought a new PC, too, since I've done this episode, mostly because of that problem I had last time. I kind of justified it by doing that. Then you just boot them off USB, so you have data store space. And it's pretty simple. I just do 3 ESXi hosts, though, so they're all basically Linux. But
Yeah.
something from my past. I've given up. Given up that
I'd like to move away.
concept,
I'd like to move away from Hyper-V. The reason I had it was just to kind of test a couple things, but
Absolutely.
I might just convert it back over to another ESXi and drop it in the cluster.
No, that's good. What I've been trying to build is Kubernetes clusters, so I've done that several ways. And my latest one is Tanzu, but networking is what I have to do. But I run a Meraki setup, so I can get it done. I just haven't had the time, but. That is my latest project.
I've run all the hypervisors actually that Veeam supports at one point or another on one of these NUCs, and it's funny that I boot them off USB, so power outages every once in a while will kind of kill that USB. So that gives me let me try the next hypervisor. This one died. Let me go to the next.
That's a good round. Yeah. I survived this round, but you're right. I lost the host. I was wondering why I couldn't get to it for a day. And I walk in there and I'm like, oh, this USB drive's dead. That's cool.
That was my problem with Nutanix, that USB drive, man. They get fried quick on there. I don't know how or why, but I've lost that thing so many times.
I wasn't gonna say the name, but that's what I was running into. Yeah, and they don't come back from a power outage on a USB drive. Not that that's how you'd boot them in an enterprise situation, but
but getting more drive space.
But
well, cool. Yeah, Chris and I didn't avoid it. We have all the gadgets because I just sit here all day and decide I need new things. I am since we've last done. I'm using the NVIDIA Broadcast app now, which is pretty cool. It does this slight blur background if you do it. Well, there you go. You can kind of see it messing up now. But if you do it just right, it almost looks like you have a real video camera that's focused in on only me. But it's kind of a trick. So anyway, cool app, easy to use, does audio too. I like it a lot better than what I was doing before.
Yeah, I need to do that with
quality.
It's the RTX cards that can use that, right?
Yeah.
So, and I haven't set it up yet. Yeah.
Part, right, is I went ahead and custom built a PC.
Well, that was the biggest purchase, right? It spent the last 2 years looking for a video card. You can't get one, so just buy a new computer.
Buy a whole box.
I did that too. So
it does seem like your video, Zane, is like the 8K cameras that are falling around the NFL players after they score touchdowns. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I got it on a wire too. It's put a lot of egg in the Chris and I
across the room.
Following me around.
Watch me like running down the hallway or something. Actually, it does have a feature here, and we're just like doing the tech podcast. If I do it right, it actually follows you around. It's freaky. Anyway, you just download it, have the RTX card. I used it with that.
That's cool. It does look good. And it does all the audio stuff too. So it takes out your clicky keyboard and background noise. So I need to set that up too.
Is it not
Yeah.
with me? Usually the auto zoom
Yeah.
actually it'll actually pan with you. Anyway,
welcome
makes you
to
look
our
a lot more professional than you are. But
welcome
it's
to
just
our
a
new
kayak.
podcast where we just shoot the breeze. So,
Yeah, no, we're kind of drawn on you. So
no, this is good. Bronson, but
nice.
yeah, it really is. Obviously, we invite you because it's more about you and the journey. But one thing before we go into that. To shoot the breeze some more. You mentioned, I think we started this episode. You said you in the airport or coming from San Diego. So you're getting to travel again a little bit?
A little bit. This was really, I think, my second time. I've been a year and a half, right? And this is my second trip. So, we were in San Diego all week, just kind of doing some QBRs and whatnot. And yesterday Zane and I were chatting as I was running through the security line. So it's kind of things are the same, but it's just been so long since I've been on, in an airport on the road type of stuff. So you have to readapt to life, but not too bad.
Yeah. Well, how do you, the reason I bring that up is we talk about travel as something that SEs have to do when we talk about, hey, if you're looking at this job or, thinking about travel is something you have to think about. How do you feel about travel in general? Like, is that something you've liked? Have you missed it during COVID or?
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, in my past life, I traveled quite a bit. I was all over the world, right? I was in EMEA, APAC, all over domestically, Canada. So I traveled a lot. I do enjoy traveling. I do, like seeing new places, trying new food, meeting a bunch of new people, new cultures and things like that. The only downside was I have a young family, right? So I have 3 kids that are 7, 5, and 3.
Yeah.
And being on the road that much, right? I think I was gone probably 48, 50 weeks out of the year.
wow.
That was a lot.
So all
I
of
missed
them.
out on
Yeah, I was gone.
I missed out
all
on
of
a
them.
ton. Yeah.
Wow.
So small things now, like taking my daughter to school, picking her up from school, right? That's quickly become one of my favorite things to do just because I haven't been able to do it before.
Yeah,
So.
it is nice.
But yeah, I love to travel otherwise.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think my perspective's that way too. I did travel that much, but more regionally, but still 2 to 3 weeks a month. So I guess maybe it was a lot. But yeah, being home and being able to do those little things, it's put my perspective. I think I'm ready to go back to traveling whenever they let me do that, but
Right.
I could couple it back, kind of do that in moderation. I'd be happy with that.
I think I've only done one trip since kind of the lockdown. Actually, I came out and saw you, Bronson.
Yeah, that's right. You did some out here.
It's my only trip, and packing again was really odd because
right.
I didn't
It's
even
totally
my
off.
even my backpack, right, with my electronics. I'm like, oh, what power cords and what laptops do I take?
Right.
And then my actual suitcase was way overpacked for like 2 days. I think I packed like 2 weeks worth because I was just like, I have no clue anymore.
I'm like a rookie again.
So it was just it was a really weird
Don't know how to
feeling.
get your ticket, get through security. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to be a pro. I'm gonna be lame.
Did you put pants in there? That's the big thing, right? Because we don't have to just wear your basketball shorts or whatever.
Yeah,
at home,
exactly.
On calls all day. So
That's right.
now
I put a bunch
we
of
gotta-
T-shirts and sweatpants in.
Sweatpants.
So Bronson, let's get into kind of your journey and stuff. And as I was mentioning, I was looking at your past a little bit, and looks like you didn't just start as an SC. It doesn't look like to me. You had IT background, maybe even background before that. But I noticed some networking and telecom stuff that I had done in the past as well. So I don't know, if you just want to start wherever you kind of like about where you think it was pertinent for you, like what you started learning and what kind of drove you to an SC, or how you even found out about this job, or
I think you're spot on. I didn't have SE as the end goal, right? I just knew when I was really young, my dad and my brother were both Cisco engineers, so I was kind of around it all the time. I remember
It's a
being
family business.
Yeah. I remember I was probably 12, and I went down to the basement, and my dad was telling me, this stuff for work, it's all computer related. He's trying to explain it to a 11, 12-year-old guy.
Okay.
So I was looking, I'm like, how is this 2-post rack? This has nothing to do with computers. Like, I'm thinking my dad is crazy. I'm like, what do you?
Yeah, right.
There's no even cables plugged into this thing. What are you talking about? So that's kind of what piqued the interest.
Do you have like a CCNA lab downstairs or something? Just a whole
my dad was a CCIE. My brother was a CCNP. So
wow.
They were big into the Cisco stuff.
Do they still hold that over to you like on Thanksgiving and stuff, and you go back?
Yeah. They still
their certifications.
Yep. My dad's retired now, so he kind of has given up on it. And I've now spun it around on him. Like, what do you know about containers? He's like, yeah, I got a bunch of them in the garage, and I put all my stuff in them.
There's a bunch of them offshore right now. They're not unloading.
Right. Yeah, that's right. The tables have turned. And my brother still does that same stuff too, right? But he kind of branched off and is doing stuff still more, on the network route switch side, but he's kind of moved out of the trenches, if you will. So.
Okay.
They don't do it too much, but it still comes up there.
We've discussed, I don't know if we've discussed on this podcast, but we've talked about, one of the ways, we didn't know what an SE was for, almost 2 decades of my career before I actually, started realizing you work with these engineers. But one of the ways I always said people, you don't really know unless your family was in it, right? Like I know quite a few people, they're like, oh, my dad worked for, Cisco or Dell and so that's how they knew. But outside of that, like you said, you don't just go into a career looking to be an SE or go like Zane said, you don't go to college for it. So
yeah,
cool. Okay,
roundabout way maybe.
Sure.
So you born around switches, raised around switches and routers, and
yep.
And then
so were you were CCNA at like 9 years old or so?
Yeah, I was saying, did you get that early?
That wasn't until I was 13. I think I got the back then it was the CCENT, right? Because they split it up into the 2 courses, and then I didn't get my CCNA. I was older, but it's been a while. I think it's since lapsed, expired, or whatnot. But obviously, I couldn't go right into route switch. Right, I had to. My brother was kind of the one that I leaned on a lot as far as kind of guiding me. I'd have already seen him have a lot of success, so I was like, tell me where I should start. And in my mind, right, I wanted to start like just tell me how to configure a router or switch, tell me how to build a mesh network. And he actually told me, slow down. That's not the way in.
That's not how this works. Yeah.
Start with layer 1, right? So get to understand the physical layer, and then everything else will start to make sense. So that's what I did. I actually got my first job pulling cable when I was 16. I was pulling Cat5 and fiber, just building out patch panels and, doing the...
There's good experience in that, right? I had the chance to teach in university when I was in California, and I probably told you guys both the story. I actually made my students make cables at least one day. I was like, we're making cables today. Of course, I would say, now you know what that's like. Now you can pay somebody or buy those, pay somebody to patch and pull. But there's definite value in there. That was good advice. Yeah. I think it definitely helped me, right? And now even I can still even remember the pin layout, right? 1, 2, 3, and 6 is for network, so it's interesting how it all kind of comes together. One thing that I did struggle with, as a young kid, when they were telling me like, go terminate this on a 66 block or 110 block, I'm like, okay. Yeah. But to me, terminate means that's where it ends. Like, no, you terminate it so it can continue. Like, what? Termination, it ends. It's over. It's like, no. So it took me a while. And I actually learned a lot of valuable skills from just troubleshooting, right? Just trying to understand what works, what doesn't work, right, at the physical layer. Because that does apply later, right? When you get into route switch, layer 2, layer 3, understanding what works is just as important as understanding what's not working, right? So it was some solid advice from my brother. Shout out. Yeah, smart guy.
Yeah. Well, and that is we should. That's great advice. I mean, you just think about all of us probably turn into tech support for our families, right? At some point, once they know and most of it's layer 1, right? Oh, did you? Is it plugged in? Oh no, okay. Let's try that.
It's either layer 1 or layer 8, right? It's one of the two.
Yeah.
So it's not PC, but they used to call it the ID10T, right?
That's right.
ID10T or the interface between the chair and the keyboard. Yeah. Layer 8. We like layer 8. That's funny you say you become the IT guy. I don't know. It's kind of a tangential story. My wife, we found a new dentist. I'm going to go see him on Tuesday. And she's talking to him, and he's giving her the story, the office. They And when Dennis was out, he's going to be by himself. He's like, I kind of turned into the IT guy. And my wife's like, oh, I just married the IT guy. He's like, oh, really? She goes, when's he coming in? And I'm like, all right, great. Now you're gonna loan me out to the dentist, huh? I'm probably so far from being an IT guy these days, but anyway, sorry. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, after doing the kind of pulling cable and whatnot, I got to the point where, like Chris, you kind of mentioned it, right? The telecom side, start doing PRIs, right? Dropping in whatever it was, right? Having to do cutovers. Oh man, the good old days, POTS lines. Remember POTS lines? Yeah. Those were great. So that's kind of where it all started.
Dude, I haven't heard PRI for a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
Did that too. That's awesome. Sorry.
Yep.
Let's go.
No, you're
T1s.
fine. So, T1s. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're taking me back. I'm getting some flashbacks. But yeah, then it all kind of started like doing cutovers, right? That's where I started being able to dabble in, the router, the switching, and all that stuff. So it was when I was young, it was very frustrating. So I'm like, I'm tired of pulling cable. I'm tired of being in the ceiling. I'm tired of terminating fiber and stabbing myself with the little glass shards. But I think as I look back, right, I kind of reflect upon, I think it was a good place to start. It kind of gave me that nice foundation to build upon. So
absolutely.
I would think there's something to that too. I don't know if you agree, but that frustration with your role, at least in my roles, have always gotten me to go to the next step, right? Yeah. It's kind of like I've done this. I don't want to do this anymore. So it's not so much you hate the experience. You just know you're ready to move on. It's probably the way, later in my life I look at it. So I don't know if you share that sentiment, but yeah. So it's part of the process, part of the journey.
Yeah. That definitely pushed me, right? It kind of kept that fire inside of like, this isn't what I want to be doing. I don't want to be, sweeping cables down the side of a patch panel and then making. I have a. I wouldn't call it OCD, but I'm very particular.
I was gonna say you got some really pretty. You got like a photo album at home, just all the.
I have a couple. Yeah, I have a couple. I can send you guys. I'll send them over.
My praise.
It
is satisfying in that I did a switch cleanup later in my career. After I wasn't doing that anymore, I was like IT manager, whatever, and just to take a messy field of cables and turn it into a pretty one. There's some satisfaction in that. I don't want to do it day in, day out, but absolutely. It's weird. Yeah. But it's there.
It is weird. But it is nice when you step back and you're like, especially somebody who came in, it's like spaghetti right everywhere, and all of a sudden they come in and it's nice, clean, sweet.
It is super satisfying. I used to do that, and then you have the help desk follow you up or something because they go change something. And you're like, man, I just cleaned that yesterday.
Took me hours.
But no, someone showed me. Have you guys seen that stuff? It's called cable porn. I think it's like maybe on Reddit or something, and it's all about just data centers that are just beautiful. And you're like, oh. It is beautiful, man.
It's beautiful.
That's how I know I'm a nerd, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I see the ones.
We had a Cisco. We did a change out to like the 6,000s, the 40,000, the chassis.
Yep.
And the guy that came in to help us in networking, he just took out the snips and said, well, because it was just such a bad braided. We just cut the cables right out, and then it's like, well, I'm just going to run new stuff. And I was like, yeah. So I've seen that side of it too.
Yeah.
Just years of abuse. I don't know.
I see the stuff on LinkedIn all the time. It's just like a spaghetti mess. Yeah. And it really it gets me.
Get that keyboard hanging by its cable somewhere just for that. Anyway, I derailed you there. Sorry, you got me on.
No, you're fine.
Thinking about beautiful cables, and I just want to look at pictures.
I know.
So I mean, you kind of hit it too, Zane. On the, I was always driving for something more. I didn't want to just be doing that, right? So I saw my brother and my dad obviously kind of doing the route switch stuff. So that's where I started pushing, right? And early in my career, that was kind of where I went, right? It obviously started with, it was a progression. I didn't just go right from pulling cable to route switch. It was kind of, fixing desktops and printers and doing all that stuff, right? And everything's connected to the network. Kind of became the one place I worked downtown Salt Lake, we ran everything for the whole building, right? So did a little bit of everything. So I got a lot of exposure, a lot of different things that I wasn't aware of. And I think one thing that helped me a ton is that I wasn't, and I'm still not, I'm not afraid to ask questions, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. So that was one thing that I think actually there was one gentleman that I worked with, his name was Mike. He he was so excited that I was willing to ask questions. He's like, I really like this. He's open. He's willing to absorb information. So that's I think something that did help me. And still, I mean, I ask both of you questions probably every day when we all were working together. So
no, and that's how IT works, right? I always sought those people to get when I had those conduits, if you will, or those people to help. So when I became a position of again, I talk about teaching. That's why I liked it. I'm like, oh wow, I'm kind of giving back. Also, make sure I understand the information because I'm conveying it. So yeah. No, that's important. And I think most people, I don't know. In my career, I did run into those engineers that didn't want to help, but they, for the most part, it seemed just kind of those out there maybe starting. As long as you're willing to learn and you're asking for the right reasons and not just the same question, or like you're not learning or you're not trying to take the initiative, people are usually very willing to help you.
And I think it's important too, right? Because at that point in my career, right, even the internal users for the company I work for, they were my customers, right? I mean, really, when you break it down. And when I'm 18, 19 years old and they're like, how come my printer doesn't work? And if you're just like, I don't know, it just didn't work. Right. I'll see if I can fix it. But if you can start to then ask questions, understand it, and then be able to position like, okay, so here was the actual problem. Next time, don't unplug the cable or whatever it is, right? Or don't go change the port.
If you knock it off the table, it's going to break every time.
I think it's important to be able to understand.
We don't know what we don't know. So just let you know.
I think that's a great point. I mean, discovery is a big part of our jobs. Of the SE job, right? Discovery might be the most important part. Understanding where it came from. Yeah. So it's good that you brought up that point. I think has come up in a couple of these episodes, Zane, that people have said asking the tough questions, right? Or asking those questions, or even stepping out of your comfort zone to be able to ask those questions, right? So I think that's a really good sentiment that we've heard a couple times.
And genuinely looking for those answers too, right? Kind of conveying that so people can tell.
Yeah. And I think it then helps build that rapport, right? You start to become that kind of trusted advisor, right? Even back then, I didn't know the impact of understanding the problem, being able to explain it to them simply, right? They don't need to know the details, but you can kind of just give them a simple explanation of what the problem was, maybe how to prevent it in the future. Call me if you need anything, right? Start to build that relationship with them. And I think that has followed me through my career still today. It's kind of being that trusted advisor. We're trying to get to that status, right? Or that stage with them. So.
Yeah, good.
So you developed troubleshooting and listening skills. So we've adding this to the not the resume, but your skill set.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, and then oddly enough, I was that job for probably, I don't know, five or 5.5 years or something. Then I kind of got the bright idea that telecom was the direction I wanted to go, kind of more a little focused, not so much just on the networking side. Sorry guys, my kids and everything are yelling here in the background, but yeah, so I kind of chose to kind of go down that telecom path. Hold on 1 second.
Time out. Okay.
It's all right. This ain't a meeting.
Yeah. I'm in a meeting.
It's a very important meeting.
Very important. So
getting famous. We're gonna make them famous.
That's some of the best stuff about the COVID. You got to deal with it, but you also get to see your kids every day, right? That's right.
I was on the phone. It's a great thing, really. And I'm trying to give him this idea for this project I'm on, and my dog comes in, looks right at me, and just barks in the face. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like all day you were fine until I'm sitting here talking to this guy, and I'm rough. Anyway,
it definitely gets challenging because, like I said, I have 3 young kids, right? And a lot of times they don't understand that I'm on the phone. I'm on a call, and they're like, "Dad, my iPad's not working," or whatever. I'm like, "Okay, I'll deal with that in a second."
Yeah,
like,
cool.
No, you don't understand, Dad. My iPad is not working. Like, okay, I'll get it in a second. Give me a second. So
I hear you. That's where you got to go back to those listening skills. I hear what you're saying.
That's right.
Dad will put it in the quew, and we'll get to it as soon as we can.
They didn't open a ticket, so I don't know how.
That's right.
That's funny. My 6-year-old has gone from like, my dad has a really cool job to like, total resentment that he thinks I sit at home and have fun all day while he goes to school. I think, and I'm like, so I'm trying to change that a little bit. So I'm not sure exactly where we stand at the moment.
As soon as he gets home from school, I just try to yell really loud at the TV or something. Yeah, it's just the way he thinks you're not having a good time.
Yeah. You got to be just a little not so happy.
Not towards him, but just not so happy at something. Yeah.
So, but going back to it, right? I think I kind of pivoted and went. I thought that's where I wanted to go was telecom, right? So I kind of went to another company, and that was really my focus. Right? Just building out it was all domestic. Everything. It was a manufacturing company, but they had like 12 sites around the U.S. Right? Like one here in Utah, Bentonville, Arkansas. There was a couple in Connecticut, right? So I ended up managing the phone system for them, and it really was an eye-opening situation for me. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, right? I thought I was going in a direction that was like, this is a little more pointed. This is what I'm going to be doing forever, right? POTS lines, all those things are going to be around
telephony
forever.
And stuff, yeah.
Yeah, telephony, right? Building out. I remember working with Call Manager, Unity, all of those. So that was kind of the direction. But I kind of quickly realized that was not my preferred thing. It was working. I was getting a lot of experience, but it was not I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life.
Do you think, if I can ask this because it's focused, like, do you tend to want to do, to throw off from your story, or is it just telephony in general? Because I wanted to be a route guy too. Like, it's just, I'm going to be just a network guy. And then you kind of realize it's just one thing. Yeah.
It's just one thing. Yeah.
Maybe I want to do something else.
It's not that it's boring. I mean, there's certainly a lot of stuff to know, right? There's the breadth and depth of any individual component in IT, right? Is you could certainly make it a career. But you hit it on the head, man. I kind of like to spread around, right? I don't want to just do route switch. I want to do virtualization. I want to do now cloud or Kubernetes or whatever it may be, right? It's nice to kind of be a jack of all trades, if you will, right? Be able to kind of talk to each individual technology and different components. So,
sure. So going up the layers. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So I left that company, and then I went to another one that was another manufacturing company, oddly enough. And I became the sysadmin. We had a pretty small IT team. There was probably 500 employees, but there was 3 of us. One of them was the manager, right? And then the other one was he was the coder, right? He was the guy that was building the intranet and all the internal apps and doing all the Python, PHP, all that stuff. I tried to dabble in that, but that's just not me either, right? So I kind of stayed in my lane for that company. But there I got to run everything. I got to run, they had a VMware environment. I redid the whole networking. So when I got there, they had a 10 meg unmanaged network that was running this large corporation.
Oh, awesome!
It was a nightmare.
Just
they had all analog phone lines.
Switches. Wow.
Dude, it was brutal. So when I came there, they gave me one initiative that was basically, we need you to redo the network, all the backbone. We need wireless. They had none. They had an analog phone system, so I moved them over to VoIP, kind of a hosted solution. So I got to do a bunch. However, the one thing that I didn't know how to do, and this is kind of true for me, both in my personal life and professional life, is if I see a weakness, right, I want to attack it and turn it into a strength. And for this company, we use semantic backup exec, writing backups to tape, and then I put the tapes in the box and send it to Iron Mountain or wherever it's going.
I worked here. I think I worked there too. Sounds exactly like a place I've been. Anyway.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. Anytime somebody's like, I need this file off the Exchange server, right? I was comfortable with Exchange and managing it. It was like, crap, how do I get that back? I don't even know. I got to call somebody.
I used to say that was part of the restore process is we do this and we hope it's there. I don't know.
Yes, just hope it's
Rolling
there.
the dice.
Hope we got the right tape. Hopefully the tape's not damaged. Hopefully.
Let's see if we're lucky today, guys.
Call tack.
Yep. So that kind of became a focus. We actually had one VMware cluster that failed, and a gentleman came in. We brought in a consultant because I was like, dude, I don't know how to get this stuff off of here quickly, efficiently, right? We're down. So how do we get it back? And brought him in, and I kind of watched him do his thing. I was like, that was cool. I wanted to learn more about that. So there was an opportunity to join another backup vendor in the market that was here in Utah. And I made the switch. Right? I went from kind of being the sysadmin, because I remember, I worked on multiple Thanksgivings, right? It was Christmas morning. If something went down, you didn't have a choice. If you're the sysadmin, right? You're responsible for everything, the network, virtualization.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that anymore, right? It was kind of like, I kind of want to pivot into going on the manufacturing side, and having an opportunity to go work for a backup company was like, this is an opportunity for me to turn a weakness into a strength.
Okay.
So
you did it. You're saying the SE exchange was just to go get rid of that weakness, really? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't even join the company I was at. I didn't join actually as an SE. I joined as basically what they call a tier 3 engineer, which is effectively,
so
really
you got
just
into support or to customer support, probably. Okay, break fix. Okay,
exactly. So
you're like,
I was managing this.
I'm going to go learn this segment. I'm going to go learn data recovery by going to work for one of the big ones. Okay.
Exactly. So, so I was managing a team of internal engineers, and we really were just focused on break switch, or break fix rather. If something was wrong, right, we were the team that came in to fix it. And I think at one point I had 12 engineers that were working with me, right, that I kind of oversaw across multiple different teams or whatnot. And I was in that role for, 3 years, right? And kind of moved up internally. Then I was actually asked to join the product management team at this previous company, right? And so now I'm moving into a whole different world, right? I'm now kind of moving to the business side of it, where I got exposed to a lot of new acronyms and new things like EBITDA and all this other stuff. And I was like, I don't know what any of this means. I'm the tech guy. Like, why are you telling me about, AOP and P&Ls and EBITDA and all this other stuff? So it was interesting. And I learned a ton, right? As far as just kind of managing a product. I had 3 products that I was the owner of. One of them, which was a DR as a service cloud, a backup as a service kind of cloud offering for SaaS applications. Yeah. And then another one for actual recovery for exchange items, oddly enough. But so that's kind of where I moved up. So I moved into that role. I was there for a couple of years. I did a lot of different things, right? Competitive intelligence, obviously demoing and kind of managing the product, life cycle and the roadmap and whatnot. And as I started diving into competitive solutions and working with the sales team a lot more closely, right? Because from a support perspective, the sales guys it's oil and water, right? They don't mix. When you become PMs, right? Product managers, it was everybody's your customers, the engineers, the support guys, the actual, the end users that are using the solution. So I started to kind of see the bigger picture as part of that, right? And then, oddly enough, I kept demoing the product, right? People would ask me to jump in and can you demo your product? And we have a really big opportunity. We need to, bring in the product manager. I was able to travel the world and see a bunch of different things there as well. But then actually the VP of worldwide sales engineers and the CEO kind of asked me to come down and kind of help run the global SE team. So that's how I pivoted from being product manager down into the sales engineering world. So
you come as in the management role, that's how you get an SE.
Kind of.
Wow.
But I didn't have any direct reports, right? It was more of an overlay. I just kind of was there to help everybody on the team.
Like the principal or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. I think maybe I do that now. Yeah.
Something.
That's nice.
You caught my interest. I think it was in the last job you were talking about, to kind of segue back. The more we do these, that Zane and I do these, we wanted to see how everybody comes from different backgrounds and all that, which we all do. But the more we do them, the more I realize we have a lot of commonalities that I didn't realize. You mentioned, the thing I'm talking about is, you mentioned there was a point when you did everything. Like, you took care of the entire environment. Right. Yep. Like, you're working an IT job and you're the IT guy. I think we all did that at one point. Right.
Yeah.
I know Zane did. I did. I think many people we've talked to have. And then you followed it right up with the thing that is also common to all of us, was you said something about, and I won't say it near as nice as you did, as good. Basically, the things that you weren't as good at drove you to be better at those, and you wanted to learn those, right? So it kind of goes back to stepping out of our comfort zone, right? We all got asked, hey, I need you to run everything. Well, crap, I don't know 50% of that, but let me go figure it out and work through it. I'll do it, and take on those challenges. So I'm starting to see that as a commonality, right? We like challenges, it seems like, being able to attack those and get better ourselves. So
it goes back to having that skill to ask questions that you want to find the answers to and be willing to learn. It's a...
Yeah. And I think, one thing for me too, right? And I apologize, my battery's going to die here. I got to find my charger. One thing that was really helpful for me as a young engineer, and even when I was in product management, or even kind of that principal engineer, if you will, was initially when I was really young, I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's not my job. Like that's that guy's job. Like call him to fix that. And I got to the point where it was like, I'm not gonna turn away anything. I know that's not my job, but I don't know how to do that. So what an opportunity for me to learn, right? Like I'll go terminate that 66 block. Never done it before, but show me how it's done, and I'll do it. Or doing competitive intelligence. I didn't know how to do any of that, so just kind of dove in and started to figure it out. And I think that was one thing that did give me some recognition internally at that company. Was I wasn't the Salesforce admin, but I'd build out reports, and I ended up doing a lot for that company. I was doing product management, even when I was in the sales engineering side of it, doing some PM work, still doing competitive. I did all the marketing videos. I wrote KB articles. I trained the support team, right? It was like, it wasn't necessarily my role, but it was something that needed to be done. And nobody else was, in my mind, nobody else was going to do it. So I just took it on. And as part of that, I learned a ton, right? Not just in that one specific function. It was really kind of holistically. So. Yeah. So, no, I got to plug this in.
I think Chris, you hit on the head there. It's kind of that commonality. I share, as far as the backup space, and I probably mentioned it on other episodes, I reflected my new role. I'm no longer, well, I shouldn't say, it's not fair to say I'm no longer in backup. It still comes up, but I don't work for a backup company anymore. But I was always that at all the jobs, right? Because I was always the new guy rotating in, or I was in charge of it. And I was deathly afraid. I was worried, I should say, of backup, and that I could get data off it, right? I kind of kid that I would cross my fingers. I hope it's on there. I didn't know how to recover. I said, if we have a problem, I don't know how to recover from that. It would keep me up at night. And so I went out and learned it too. I was like, well, I better get better at this because I need it to save me. I need to be able to come through it. And then, you just kind of end up in that space.
Yep. And the next thing you know, everybody's calling you, right? Like, oh, you did this once. And then you just get really good at it, right?
You're the expert, right? You're like, I can just know. We just did it. Right. I don't know.
Yep.
And some of this was before Google, guys. Or, Google was a big thing.
Oh, yeah. Before the internet, even.
Yeah, before the internet. There you go. We were doing this all with carrier pigeons back then, guys.
All carrier pigeons. That's funny. I actually
baud rates is what we were measuring things at.
I was going to San Diego State as a computer science major for the company I worked for, doing web programming in the .com for a .com. A lot of ASP and web stuff. And it just came from I was the only guy. We were a small company with a few developers and a few programmers. And they're like, hey, can somebody fix the Outlook client? Right. And they're like, oh, I'm like, oh, yeah, let me take a look. Oh, Chris knows how to do that. Oh, hey, can you fix the wireless now? Oh, hey, can you go, and so I just kind of de facto became our little shop's IT guy. But it made me realize hey, touching this stuff and helping people is, to me, even though I really wanted to program video games and make my own stuff, the physical touching, I found that I liked it more. Now, there's something to be said, the enjoyment you get from finishing a program or writing something can be very great too, but to me, a lot of it in between became tedious, right? Or I knew I would be writing programs for someone else, not necessarily what I wanted to. Yeah. But that's how I did it. It was just hey, Chris fixed that for me once. I mean, I have a little red MacBook right there because someone had a Mac. And to Zane's point, I was like, well, they made me fix it once. I better go learn about it, and do some more. Yeah. So
that was what got me into IT too, is I was on a different role at a newspaper, and I make the Macs work because IT didn't want to touch them. And then when I finally hey, you'd be useful on the IT team. You know how to fix things and troubleshoot. By the time I got to that career. And then, just saying yes a lot, right? Yeah, I'll do that. And then I maybe sound similar, but where I was, big department, smaller department, and everybody that left became Zane's new job. Like, that's how I learned switches and routers. I can do that. Sure, JavaScript. That sounds fun. Let's do that. I'll do the front end for the classified system. Oh, there's the back end too. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Hey, your project is upgrading this whole thing and got to build a test dev environment. Oh, okay, sure.
Yep.
What's Citrix? Okay, yeah, let's do this. Anyway.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's very similar. And I think a lot of people in IT probably, maybe we'll find out more and more, but everybody that we've talked to, it's kind of the same there.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's always like how I've been made up. I guess it's in my DNA I like to understand how things work and be able to explain to people and be able to, for me, right, being on the manufacturing side from a backup side is too, I don't have to manage the environment, right? I'm not the one that's responsible to keep it up. Right. But I get to see a lot of interesting environments, how technology is being used, which has really been one little hidden gem for me. Right. It's every day I'm in some new environment. It's like, wow, that's really cool how you guys built that out. So it's nice getting that exposure to other technologies as well. Yeah.
I was actually going to say at the beginning, your networking background helps a lot in your space too, right? With backup, people think of just backup, but really it touches so many things, and a lot of people don't. Networking's tough, right? Let's say it that way. And so that brings a lot to you. You have that understanding, so you can just kind of soak in all the other stuff. Oh, you're doing it this way compared to this environment's doing it that way. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I left that company. There was an opportunity to join Veeam. And like I said, I did competitive intelligence and whatnot. I was the only one in the company that did it really. And I knew what I thought was a bunch about Veeam until I actually got here. I was tired of losing, right? I want to win. So joined the Veeam side, and I thought I knew everything about it. I was like, this is going to be a breeze. And then you open up that hood, and there's so much more to it, but it's such a powerful solution.
Do you find the role? So you're kind of, I mean, you're an SE at Veeam, right? I mean, we can probably tell everybody that senior SE, by the way. Congrats again.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. So you kind of could look at it like, well, I used to be an SA principal, and now I'm going the SE role. But do you see? Is it much different, if I may ask, from what you were doing at the previous location, or maybe you're more direct with the customer now? Maybe that's the new deal. I don't know, but I'm just asking. Yeah, you don't have to tell me either. You'd be like, no, I loved both jobs equally, and
no, I actually enjoy. Put you on the spot here. No, you're fine. You're fine. I enjoy this role a lot more because, honestly, so in my past life, I was a global resource again, right? Even when I was, on the SE side, we had a team in APAC, we had a team in EMEA, and I never really got to work with the same customers. I never really saw the same people ever, right? It was like, hey, we need you to go to New York. There's one customer that needs your help. And I did a lot of PS work there as well, right? I did like kind of the professional services stuff. So I never really got to see the same people or talk to the same people or actually build a relationship with them. So it got kind of, it was just interesting, right? I was always helping other engineering teams, domestically or internationally. And no, I was always gone, but I never got to see the same people, right? So now here in Utah, where I'm at, I get to work with the same partners, the same customers, and you start to, build that rapport with those guys. And,
Yeah.
So I've actually really
getting back to helping the people directly, kind of like the early days of IT. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Instead of just being air cover, right? That's brought in and you got to parachute in and help them and get out in the middle of the night if you can. So.
It's actually what I really enjoyed about the SE role as well. You get to see something, through to completion, right? From start to finish, and help someone out, and really help. And that's one thing now in my current role. I'm global, so I'm kind of more like you used to be, where it's air cover. I specifically do data protection. So they bring me in for those conversations. But it's nice because in between I went to, as you guys know, went to a channel role where you help more of your partners, right? So I didn't get to see customers much. So this has brought me back where I don't see them full through to completion like you're talking about, but at least I get to interact with them again. And it's not just a one and done. Sometimes you talk to them multiple times, but so for me, that's brought back some of that excitement about helping the customer, right?
Right. Yep.
Kind of miss it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's an interesting journey. We haven't talked to anybody that way that kind of went like, maybe actually we haven't talked to anybody that's gone to PM at all, but you kind of went the roundabout way back into SE. So but it's interesting. It's knowing kind of what you like about each role, just as you were coming up through IT itself.
Yeah. And I think there was a lot of things that I learned too, right? Being in the PM side, I kind of talked about it, right? The P&Ls, your AOPs, how are you going to, what are you going to change in the product that's going to, take the product to a whole new level and getting new features for the sales team to go out and pitch and whatnot. So being on that side of it, I think certainly has helped. I think as I kind of continue to progress, just having that awareness, I guess, has been something that I think has helped me. But.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it all does. So it's a good lesson. If you step up, say yes, try to figure out the new role, and you find out what you like. You also bring a lot of knowledge into the next thing. So that's great advice.
Yeah. Anything else on that last role there, Bronson, or did that kind of wrap it all up nicely?
What's next for you? I won't put you on there. We won't let your manager see this.
Yeah.
Would you ever, like a similar role, would you ever go back that route or do you think you kind of like the direct connect, or maybe you would take aspects of this and change it differently? Let's say a principal, let's say in your current role, or I'm not asking you if you're leaving Veeam, maybe at Veeam. So we'll make that the scenario. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. I think, as far as next step, right? I mean, I do like from like an architect standpoint, right? Kind of stepping out of the sales cycle, if you will, right? And being more like, let's talk about building a solution, because I've always liked building stuff, right? I always like to kind of, let's come up with a plan, whiteboard it, whatever you're going to do, and then let's see it come to fruition has always been something I've thoroughly enjoyed. And so, I think, hopefully in the future that something along those lines is in in the path there. But
you would look at it again. Okay.
For sure.
Just interested. I'm not like I'm interviewing you here. I guess we are interviewing you, but I don't have a job to offer you, Bronson. Sorry. No, it seems like you're really good at it, and you kind of have that. That was one thing when I guess I'm at a software company, software on hardware, software that comes on a very expensive flash drive, whatever it is. But when I was with Veeam, I thought about the PM side, and I get to do a bit of that in my role now, because it is kind of the whole picture, right? A software business, they're manufacturers, just like you said. You supported manufacturers, now you're in one. That product management side is kind of the other side of the house. How the product goes, the life cycle, what goes into it, security, all the things. That's a very very different part of that business. So. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You got to see both sides now. Yeah.
We went from kind of interviewing customers to ask them what's important to you, to what would you like to see, what would you like to see different or added or changed, to I'm still kind of interviewing customers.
Now it's similar more skill. Listening. Yeah.
You're still listening, right? You're still kind of trying to take what they say and perhaps how that actually applies, and then actually show them. Yeah. Here's how I could make your life easier. Right?
But your action is, well, here's how my product can help you. Not okay. I'll take that back, and we'll try to get that in the product, or ignore you. Yeah.
Yep. Or ignore you. Yep. Exactly.
Depends on what they're asking.
It depends on what they ask for. Yeah. That definitely.
Got to quantify it.
Yep.
Yeah. I get to do that in my new role, so it's been interesting. So that's actually. I know this is about, we're interviewing you, but my new role is my first real interaction with PM and how things make the roadmap, and thinking about how do we quantify this so that is it a value to us? Like, we're doing the right thing? It makes sense for the life of the product. Is it really something more people will buy? People are going to leave us. And I find it weird capturing like opportunities where it comes up, where by the time, because it's the roadmap, that opportunity is probably either closed, right? Or either they bought the thing, they're okay with it, they did something else. And so what are we really measuring? Not an easy feat. So it's been interesting to kind of dive into that myself. So
for sure.
And you have that, right? And you have that in your background.
Yeah.
I just made this about product management. We have a whole new podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll have to get some of those guys on sometime.
Yeah. I mean, any one of these businesses you're an SE for has that side, right? Somebody's making the thing. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And anyway.
Yeah.
So now I've been with Veeam now for about a year and a half. So still learning. Every day is a school day, right? I still learning, still saying yes. I'll take on anything that needs to be done, and just try to keep following
Good
that
way to
same
be.
model.
So how do you? There's some advice. We try to think. Hopefully, people listen to this want advice. How do you approach that in your SE job? If I may ask you, just to make this longer. So you say, yeah, I'm going to go solve that for you. You know, in the back of your head, you have no idea necessarily. I've done that before. What do you? What do you do in your day to day?
Yeah. So I mean, really, for me, it's then I try to go find out what I can. Right. There's tons of resources online you can go find. Right. Look internally, look externally. For me, I try to get a general understanding of like, okay, I think I understand how this works, or here's how this could apply, or here's how we could use the technology to help. And then I'll go, bounce off somebody like you guys, right? Like, hey Zane or hey Chris, does this make sense? Am I on track here, or is this completely wrong? Right. So I try to take the no nerve endings attached to it approach. Right. Like you can tell me that was a horrible idea or I completely missed it. I just want to know, right? So I can go and build it. But I also
leverage your network. Go back to that asking the questions for help. Okay, yeah, it's kind of what I was driving at, I guess.
Utilize resources.
Yeah, but I think it's also important, right? To at some extent, right? You can't just be like, I've done nothing, I've tried nothing, but I'm all out of ideas, right? So that approach, I think, has always kind of been something I've tried to avoid. Of just like, hey, I haven't spent any time on this. Can you just do it for me? Right? That's not gonna help. So.
I think that's the biggest difference. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you'd say. Yeah. So great advice again.
So
cool.
I'm gonna get Bronson and his brother to write a book on how to do this.
How to groom an SE.
How to groom an SE.
That's awesome.
I can see if he wants to join. If you guys are interested in that. See if you're
Would be an interesting take, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, thanks for that, Bronson. Obviously, it's a lot of good stuff. Made us, interact here a lot and give us ideas, and so we're glad you could join us and hear that. I think we covered equipment and home lab. One of the other things we kind of talk about, or just to close it out, we put down hobbies here. But is there just thinking about again people that might be thinking of becoming an SE or what it is? Anything you bring background in your personal life or hobbies, things you do that or whatever it may be that say, here's why you may be interested in an SE. Here's the things that drove me to it, just to kind of wrap it up. Any thoughts?
Yeah. I do like to golf a lot. That's one of my favorite pastimes. So this does kind of gives me the opportunity, right, to kind of get people outside their comfort zone instead of just trying to sell them on something or ask them questions, right? For me, it's kind of more about getting to know the people, understand what they like, and kind of getting them out of their comfort zone, out of the office, out of the conference room. So for me, taking them out golfing, right? It's a stress relief. I enjoy it most days. Some days I don't. But getting people out, and I think that's one common interest most people have in the industry, right? Is to get out and maybe go play some golf. So that's one hobby I like.
So maybe important to have a common hobby, whatever you want to call it, a sport that you play or something, right? So you can have those interactions. Yeah.
Yep.
So
golfing seems to be a pretty staple one, and there's seems like varying levels of. Though I think the two of you are probably pretty good. Varying levels.
I love golf.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like you said, some of us, it's like you said, some will go do it because it's fun and there's varying levels, and then some people just absolutely like, no, I don't like golf at all.
Yeah,
not gonna go do that. But I like that. That's a good one. Good.
Yeah, I think you can still get a lot of business done right on the golf course. You can still get to know people and ask them about their environment or whatever it may be. There's still a lot of value in
3-4 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
you're sitting right next to them for 3 hours, so
Yeah.
you can get a lot of information, right? But my approach is not to start. I don't want to sell anybody on the golf course. It's more of just let me get to know you and then ask you questions, and then later when we're talking, tomorrow in our conference room or whatever, then we've kind of broke down those walls. Right now, a lot of times people are, I wouldn't say defensive, but they got their walls up, right? And that kind of helps break those down a little bit. So.
Yeah, there's the human aspect to this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
People
Very important.
buy from people. I think that's what I used to get told over there at Veeam.
That's right. Self-friendships, right? That's what
Self-friendships. So that's cool. So you get out, and then of course you have the family too. So I assume that would be the other.
That's the other
he does
option.
in his downtime, right?
My son, my 5-year-old, he loves to golf, man. So he'll come tap me on the shoulder in the morning, like, "Dad, we going golfing today?" I'm like, "Well, it's snowing outside, so probably not today." It's like, it's not that cold. Like, it's kind of hard to find a white ball in the snow, So he's got an answer for everything. He's like, "Just use the orange ball." Like, okay,
Yeah, we can see that one, Dad.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Kids are good at that.
I don't have a snow wedge, so we can't.
that's right. Yeah, the S is for sand, not for snow.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. Well, cool, Bronson. Thanks so much for joining us, dude. It's been really good chatting with you, and
Thank you guys for having me.
we gotta just talk more.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I even knew you though. It's still interesting. Some things I learned today, so it's cool. Your journey through this navigating this world.
Yeah. I don't. The journey's not over, right? We're still on.
No,
Exactly.
Trying to figure out where we go next, but I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you back. You changing on the role. Some other interesting ideas we have out there is, there's a lot of different aspects to this, like, how to branding of yourself and things like that. So yeah, maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, let's do it. Just let me know when. We'll make it happen.
Awesome.
Or, get an in-person one or something. I don't know. Lots of ideas.
That would be
Lots
cool.
of ideas.
Once we can get doing that,
In-person
Meet at a conference or something. Yeah.
would be really cool.
That would be awesome.
Awesome. Well, and anyone out there that stuck through the entire time with us, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.